Namaskar, welcome to Whitetail. Here we'll explore who owns our water, who controls this water today, who operates it, who decides how it flows. Across India, water is slowly changing hands, not through headlines, but through agreements and contracts.
Few consider the forces at play behind this vital resource. Who governs this life giving liquid? Is it still under the grip of our local municipalities, or has the power quietly slipped into the hands of private enterprises? Across India, an unseen shift is happening, not suddenly, nor with great fanfare, but contract by contract, quietly orchestrated in the shadows. Once control is relinquished, a domino effect ensues, impacting not just the flow of water, but the entire infrastructure surrounding it. Historically, water was a communal service. Local governments took pride in their commitment to the community, owning water sources and managing treatment plants, pipelines, and the necessary infrastructure to ensure a steady supply. They addressed leaks, regulated pressure, and collected bills, viewing water not as a commodity, but as a public responsibility. Despite facing troubles like inefficiencies and corruption, the driving ethos was clear. Water's accessibility should not be compromised for profit. It belonged to the community, nurtured and funded by their collective contributions. Then, in the 1990s and 2000s, a new philosophy infiltrated policy discussions, the belief that private companies could outperform government entities. Proponents declared that public services were riddled with red tape and inefficiency. A campaign for water reforms emerged, promising 24/7 availability, reduced leakage, advanced billing, and modern metering systems. Rather than addressing the root issues, governments opted for a contingent solution, contracting private operators. Rather than relinquishing ownership of water sources, they began to outsource vital operations, slowly delegating responsibility while still claiming ownership on paper. The transition unfolds through a calculated process. First, governments maintain ownership in the official documents, preserving an illusion of control. Next, private companies enter the scene, securing long-term contracts aimed at operating treatment plants and managing essential functions like billing and maintenance. The private sector's performance is often tied to financial targets, focusing on revenue collection and minimizing losses. This arrangement, known as public-private partnerships (PPP), seems equitable. However, as the dust settles, the true dynamics reveal a subtle yet profound shift in control, heralding a significant transformation in the management and accessibility of water. In recent years, significant national programs have started to reshape the landscape of water management. Under the AMRUT 2.0 initiative, large cities are increasingly encouraged to adopt public-private partnership (PPP) models. This shift targets several core objectives, including ensuring round-the-clock water supply, achieving full metering, and guaranteeing cost recovery. Conversely, the Jal Jeevan Mission emphasizes that while water remains a public commodity, its execution hinges more on contractors and private suppliers, leading to a nuanced dilemma where ownership stays public while day-to-day operational power increasingly shifts into private hands. Initially, this transition may appear beneficial for citizens, enhancing aspects such as water pressure, prompt repairs, and transparent accounting practices. However, the longer-term implications are of greater concern. As private enterprises enter the field, tariffs are expected to rise due to their need to recover costs and generate profits. Gradually, water is redefined as a commodity rather than a welfare service. Moreover, with the implementation of water metering, consumption is meticulously tracked, inferring that missing a payment could lead to conditional water supply. Effectively, this creates a scenario where affluent regions are designated as priority zones, while slums and informal settlements suffer, being labeled loss zones. Such disparities raise questions about equity in service delivery. Compounding these issues is the risk of diminished accountability. When water services falter, companies may deflect blame onto outdated infrastructure, while government officials pinpoint private contractors as the issue. As a result, citizens find themselves ensnared in a web of confusion with limited clarity on whom to hold responsible. The implications of increased privatization pose a significant threat. Unlike electricity or telecommunication, water is non-negotiable and cannot be replaced. As private control extends without stringent regulations, conflicts arise. Domestic water needs compete with industrial demands, groundwater extraction escalates, and climate-related stresses exacerbate shortages. The core danger lies not just in privatization, but in prioritizing profit over public welfare, threatening access to water based solely on one's ability to pay rather than their rights as citizens. Hence, it becomes paramount for public awareness to demand transparent practices such as clear contracts, independent regulatory bodies, guaranteed lifeline water for economically vulnerable populations, stringent groundwater usage limits, and accessible accountability measures. Water transcends mere infrastructure, it's intrinsically linked to health, dignity, and life itself. Failing to scrutinize current control dynamics over this vital resource risks future upheavals. Once eroded, regaining control over water will be a monumental challenge.